Hey guys, here we go into the round 2 film study of Joshua versus Parker. It's a really interesting round. I know the fight overall isn't super interesting, but the little tiny things that you learn about fighters and learn about new techniques and new things, or like even just understanding that in the fight, like when things are going kind of slow, it's the fighters are usually thinking. It is because they don't understand the next level, right? Like the feinting and the probing, right? In this regard, rather than using his lead hand like to control Parker and just feint and really keep it out there in his face to make him make a mistake, he's decided that he wants to take away Joseph Parker's control of the space between them first, right? And that is an important um, strategy for him, but there are other ways to do it, right? Just getting your lead hand on top of his lead hand and pushing it down, right? Similarly to what Vladimir Klitschko did to him when he did it reversed, right? He would have his hands up like this, and then Klitschko would shoot his jab in here, right, and grab Joshua's lead hand, pull it down so he could throw his right hand over the top, right? So there are other ways, other things that Joshua could be doing to make the fight, or even Parker could be doing them, right? But there are still a lot of like really interesting things that go on in the fight with the ebb and the flow. And Parker's actually going to start showing some right here, well, at the end of the round, rather. But again, the round starts out very similarly to the last one. Joshua, within 12 seconds, has him nearly against the ropes. Parker trying to control the space between them with the jab, right? And it gets countered again, right? And notice last time in the round, in the fight, he stopped using his jab as much because of the fact that he was getting countered. He knew the counters were coming. Again, same kind of offense, right? He throws this lead hand up. He has no idea what Joshua is going to do, right? And then he just starts throwing punches, right? The antithesis of that would be if you feint your opponent and you watch them bring their hands down, right? When you feint to the body, right? And they bring their hands down to block it, right? Or you feint the jab and you see that they try to catch the shot right here. So next time, instead of feinting the jab, you throw a hook, right? And you can catch them. So reading the feints how your opponent reacts to the feints, right? Even if it's low level stuff, even if you don't use the information during this current engagement, which is something that Joshua does really well, and I'll show that a little bit later. But showing that he hasn't made an adjustment yet. He's still fighting the same way, right? Again, flashing out right there, throwing that combo. Then he does it again, no success, right? Kind of touches him a little bit, touches him like a little bit. It's not a real punch though, right? You're not going to count that. It's just the glove touching him, right? And then right away, right after that, Joshua moves to the center of the ring, flashes that lead hand, right? And look at how Parker reacts to it, right? Sorry to go back and forth, but look how Parker reacts to it. He leans back away from the shot, away from that jab, right? And then he's anticipating a right hand to the head, but because he puts all his weight on his back leg, he gets stuck there, right? And Joshua does wind up landing that right hand to the body. But the next couple clips, we're going to kind of go back in time a little bit and show you why that right hand was set up and the difference in like ring IQ, adjustments, and reading your opponent the way that he reacts to your feints, right? So here we have Joshua. I thought this was going to be a huge point in the fight, right? That lead left hook, because of the fact that Parker always tries to catch it with his lead hand or with his backhand. He always tries to parry it, right? But notice how he leans back and he tries to parry a jab, but he also leans back to get away from the hook, right? Showing that, he's aware. I think he has gotten caught with it once, right? But again, the same thing. And look at how he reacts to it, right? Dips all his weight to his right leg, right? And then he throws a 1-2, right? And this right here, I want to point this out because it's going to be relevant for a little bit further in the film study. But this is one of the only times that Joshua throws a 1-2, right? And in succession, right? Usually he just throws that shot, looks how you react, and then throws another shot, right? But there's a tempo in it, right? That's really interesting that plays a part at the end of the round. But again, after he throws that right hand, Parker just dips on the side, right? So now, well, let's go back to that clip while I was setting it up. So right here, he shoots that jab. Parker leans back, and he knows that he's not going to be able to get away from the right hand because all his weight is already on his back foot. He can't jump away anymore, right? So Joshua uses the information from that jab or that feint, right, to set up his next punch, right? And that's what Parker's not doing. He's just flashing the lead hand and then hoping he can run in there and throw that 1-2, you know, boom, boom, or that 2-3 rather. But also, look at the timing in the way that Joshua does that, right? It's jab, set down, throw the right hand. There's definite timing in that, and that's going to be relevant later. But again, watching him shoot those shots, seeing how he reacts to them, and then being able to land that right hand to the body because he figures out that he's leaning back away. Now the next part, right, again, Joshua never letting Parker get away with throwing a jab, right? He needs to take that jab away so that he can have control of the space between him and Parker so he can set his shots up better, right? So never letting that jab go and then feinting him. He actually gets caught with this shot later where he feints the jab and Parker kind of goes to catch it like this and throws a left hook. But I don't think I kept it in the video. But again, he's chasing Parker around, right? And not committing to anything, right? Just feinting him and getting Parker all the way out of position into against the ropes. Then Parker goes to shoot a jab to get off. And very easily, Joshua's able to slip it and land a jab to the body. But also, again, one punch, right? Feinting him. Coming forward, right? Pressuring him. And again, counters the jab, right? One punch. Shoots the jab, right? And there's a timing behind it, right? Parker tries to counter that jab, not exactly counter it, but come back and follow him back a little bit in Joshua's off timing because he knows Joshua has that timing, one punch at a time, right? And then Joshua, again, countering that jab, throwing that hook, right? And we'll get to a point here soon, don't worry. But now look at him, right? He's had his own jab countered so many times. He comes out to the middle of the ring in the next engagement with his pawing jab, right? Trying to see what he can get Joshua to do, right? Is it going to be a right hand over the top? Is it going to be, you know, the jab to the body, right? Now he's starting to think and he's starting to figure out that that jab is a trigger for Joshua, right? He knew that it was getting countered last time, but at this point in the fight, he's realizing that he can use that to his advantage. As you can see here, again, sticking that lead hand out there. And you saw him when he stuck it out there. Whoops, let me go back. He sticks it out there. Joshua looks to catch it, right? And kind of gives away his little game plan of whether he was going to throw another jab or a hook himself, right? But controlling him. And Parker's starting to figure something out about the jab. That he can use it to bait stuff from Joshua. Now, watch this next exchange, right? Look at how he feints right here, right? And remember, this is the same feint that he's been using, right? He tries to feint Joshua into throwing a jab to the body. Remember the last few times that he's thrown that jab, it's been a hook upstairs or it's been jabs to the body, and a lot of times it's been jabs to the body, especially when he's against the ropes. But he flashes the lead hand. Joshua reacts, brings his lead hand out, right? And he's able to still turn away and get away from that because he doesn't bite on the jab, or he doesn't bite on the feint, right? Because he's not selling it well, even though this is one of the triggers, and he winds up getting kind of caught with a couple of shots. You know, he lands that left hook, but again, Parker starting to figure this out, right? And now again against the ropes, right? Shoots that jab, hoping to get countered, right? So he can bait with the right hand there, right? He's not just throwing the 1-2 because you can tell this one's different because last time he didn't commit to it, and he didn't even fake Joshua out at all. So this time he's committing to it like a real punch and throwing a right hand over the top. Now this is something that's really interesting, right? And this is not just this part right here. So he shoots his jab, right? And this is interesting for two things. I'll talk about it for the film study first, but I'll also talk about it for the overall Anthony Joshua picture, right? But that jab comes back, right? And Parker counters him immediately, right? I'm not sure if the shot lands or if it hits him in the chest or what, right? But notice that this is the first time that Parker's actually countered the jab or punched with Joshua. And the idea of why this is important is because remember all those other punches where Joshua was throwing a shot? Boom, he'd throw one punch, right? Even when he threw that right hand to the body, shoot that jab, get planted, throw the right hand to the body once he realizes that Parker has moved into the optimal position, right? After he's read the feint, right? But Parker's picking up on that there's this rhythm that he punches in, and he doesn't punch in combination. So now he's starting to set shots up to punch with Joshua. But getting back to why this is important overall for the Joshua picture, look at how he stops completely in his tracks, right? That's something that he did a lot against Dillian White too. He would throw a shot at Dillian White, and Dillian White would catch and counter, right? And every time he would get tagged, he would kind of shell up, you know. And I think Takam would catch him with shots too, but he doesn't like to punch when he's getting hit, which is good, right? But he needs to do a little bit better of a job of moving off the line. But disrupting his rhythm, catching him in between his combinations or his punches, is a very effective tool against Anthony Joshua. Anyway, then we've got Parker controlling the distance now instead of with the jab, because it doesn't work, right? He's getting countered, he's getting caught, right? He's throwing a right hand, right? And it's working a little better, but again, whoops, oh. Again, the last scene in the round, Joshua shoots the jab, he slips it a little bit to the outside, catches him with another jab, right? Because he's figuring out that Joshua always punches in this rhythm, right? One punch at a time kind of thing. Let's see, get a couple more. But some interesting stuff in the fight again, right? Right here on a different rhythm, right? Punching here, same rhythm, one punch at a time, one punch at a time, one punch. That's the only one. I know I'm like one punch, you know, but this is the only time where he really breaks that rhythm and doesn't allow Joshua or Parker to kind of come back with the counter, you know. Again, one punch even off the counters, feints, right? Same rhythm, not even a feint and then a right hand, you know. But anyway, some interesting stuff, and the third round is where it really heats up for me. The third round is really interesting. Joshua or Parker just starts doing a lot of really good things. I think that Joshua won both of these rounds pretty easily, just because his offense, his ability to score offense against Parker, and Parker's style is so much easier than it is for Parker to land offense against Joshua because of their styles. You know, not that one is necessarily a better fighter, right? But that the way that their styles kind of come together, it favors Joshua heavily. Anyway, that's the end of the round. A lot of interesting stuff in this round. The jab counter, the whatever, you know. And I'll be doing round 3 tomorrow. It's a really interesting round. It's probably the most interesting so far. Yeah, so come back. Thanks, guys.